Hello, hello, and welcome back to the club. I'm one of your hosts, Katie Hoyt, and I am joined by the prettiest girl in the world, Miss Ashlyn Clark Gober. Ash, we just caught up, kind of as a surprise to us all that we're putting out 2 episodes this month. So if you guys want to hear about what I've been up to, what Ashlyn has been up to, please go listen to that. And Ash, are you ready to just go ahead and dive straight into this book?
I would absolutely love it because I have been thinking about this nonstop. And so let me just preface by saying, you know how sometimes whenever you read a book and right away you're like, I'm going to go to Goodreads, I'm going to rate it, not 20 stars. I love it. I can't stop thinking about it. I might still be in that place because I finished this at 10 p.m.
Okay.
So who knows where this will go. I might have more thoughts on this in the following weeks.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm super excited to talk about it because since I just finished it last night, I haven't gotten to word vomit all of this to Jake yet, who is usually my number one person that I'm just listen to what's going on. But I spent the whole day, the last 2 days on my phone, just eating it up. Eating it up. So, yeah, we can dive right in if you'd like. The Road of Bones.
Yep.
And Katie has on her bone outfit today.
Oh, yes. It's very indicative of today's episode of this month's book. But yes, this is The Road of Bones by Demi Winters. I think we're going to get a really good perspective on this book because I finished the book 2 weeks ago. You finished it last night. So we'll meet somewhere in the middle. So I've had plenty of time to digest and potentially forget. So it's a great thing that it's really fresh on your mind because when I was filling this out last night, I was like, I don't remember what I'm talking about here.
Yeah. The hard part is if you have to just fill out, you have to just put everything that you're thinking on paper when you're thinking it or else you'll forget it. And how many books have you read since this?
4? I don't know.
Okay, I knew it was going to be up there. That's hilarious. And is there anything good that you're reading right now that you want to share with the class?
Okay, so I just started reading, not just started reading, I'm 60% through Anathema by Carrie Lake, who is the same author as Nocticadia.
I was about to say it's giving dark academia vibes.
Yes.
With just the name, but I actually hate it. But
yeah.
continue.
Okay. So apparently anathema is a word. It supposedly means witch or evil. I don't know. Anyway, it was the first time I had heard of it. I will say that. But Carrie typically writes dark gothic romance. Nocticadia is dark academia. This is her first dabble into fantasy. Let me just say, I'm loving it so far. The world building, if you think Crescent City world building is outrageous, this is next level. I literally feel like I was presented what's the class that's really hard for medical school, something organic chemistry or something like that that's really hard for people. I feel like I stepped in day 1 and we covered chapters 1 through 20 and there's a test tomorrow and I'm trying to keep all of that information in my brain. It's so crazy, but it's really good. So I'm reading that. I've read a few others. The only other one of note is I read City of Gods and Monsters by Kayla Edwards, and it was really good.
There's been a lot of fodder over that. Was it good? Okay. So
yes, it was good. And I was like, wow, this was good. And then the next day I was like, no, this was good. And I continue to think about it. It's one of those, I haven't read book 2 yet because it's almost 1,000 pages long. But I keep thinking about it and I'm like, wait, I want to stop what I'm doing right now and pick up book 2. It's good and it really sticks with you. Yeah.
Okay.
So
that might be a perfect one to read over Christmas break. Now I'm thinking,
ooh, that would be a good one.
I have to make a list. Literally, I'm going to be in December, I'm having my busiest month of all time with work. And then in December, I have an elective class, kind of not class, but elective rotation. So I have a little bit more downtime and I have a goal to make it through 3 books in December. So
Okay.
I'm going to have to add those to my list.
Okay. Yeah. I can help you if you need any help.
We'll have to come up with something
read.
that's realistic for me.
Yeah.
So we'll have to like get together and, make pros and cons lists.
Yeah.
Do the whole Enneagram
100%.
and then decide.
100%.
So actually, I said that I was ready. I said that I was ready to dive in, but there's something else I really, really want Katie to tell us about. And she has 2 very active members of her household right now named Nesta and Manon. Would you like to explain the girlies and what they're up to?
Okay, yeah. So currently I will say I am a new mom to twin girls, Nesta and Manon, as Ashlyn said. They are just being bad right now, but this week
That's to be expected. That's
That's exactly what I told Hoyt. But earlier this week I just had kind of like a break in reality, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to start doing sourdough. So I literally rounded the troops, meaning Hoyt, and I said, it's 7 p.m. We're going to Publix. We went and we got our flowers. We went and we got mason jars. Oh my God. Hang on. Did you know that you cannot buy a singular mason jar? You can only buy a pack of 12.
I did know that. Yeah, because I decided we were going to do mason jar storage for the breast milk when that was still a thing. And so, yeah, whenever I tried to order them, I actually found out you can order a pack of 6 on Amazon, but they're not the regular mason jar size. They're smaller. They're only 12 ounces. So it's you have to just choose your fighter.
Right. So I was like, okay. So we go to Walmart. I had to go to the craft section and buy one that's the craft style mason jar. But of course, I went on Amazon. I ordered literally so much shit to start doing the sourdough. Started this morning. Hoyt took our boxes. I had a pile that was at least 5 feet tall of boxes of just shit that I've ordered this week. But yes, I wanted to name them Nesta and Manon. Hoyt said, no, absolutely not. He hates those names. And I said, okay, then you name them. And he didn't. So I continued to call them Nesta and Manon. Now he's obsessed. He says that Manon is his because when we were doing them, he stirred her up. So, whatever. They're both ours. They're both of our daughters. But anyway, the last couple days, they've been not performing well, which apparently is normal in sourdough. I don't know. I'm learning a lot. But it has been fun so far. So just before this, I had to move to 2 feedings a day because they're not wanting to grow. I had to stick them in the oven with the oven light on to keep them nice and warm. And now they're just sitting in the cabinet. And I'm hoping that they start bubbling and growing soon.
They're still working on their character development. They'll get there. It's not, you can't judge a book by the first few chapters. We've only had them for 5 days.
Totally.
Going on 6 today. Mm-hmm. So we're going to give them time to, just adjust to their new environment. They just turned Fae. Let's,
they just came out the cauldron. 100%.
Seriously. So, and we all know what happens after you come out of the cauldron. You have to kind of deal with all of your trauma. So I think that I'm cautiously optimistic about the sourdough, mainly just for my viewing. So let me tell you, as a viewer of Katie's stories, what happened was she posted a story in the morning and said,
no, it was the afternoon. It was 3 p.m.
Okay. I can feel myself entering my sourdough era. Please swipe up if you have any advice, but only if you're not stupid. Mm-hmm. And then
wait, I just want to say,
I don't think it was
nobody swapped up. So everybody that I know is stupid or doesn't know anything about sourdough
or doesn't have sourdough. Yeah. And the ones that that have sourdough, idiots. So they couldn't help. So anyway, I'm like, oh, I have another friend that does this. You should reach out to her. She's not stupid. And she's like, okay. I don't think it was 1 hour later, and she has a counter full of flour, a caraway baking dish.
I'm planning to also make the butter for it fresh. If I could get my hands on some raw cream, that would be amazing. But I think I'm going to have to go to the local cult down the road and see if I can buy some cream from them. If not, then I'll just have to use like the store.
What do you mean cult? Is that like a name of a store?
No, there's a cult down the road. The Catholic cult. They have that gelato shop.
No.
Villaggio Colafrancesco is the name of the...
Someone told me about this and I'd never heard of it, but I didn't know that it was present in Birmingham.
Yes. So where the office, my Hoyt's like old office, the ice cream gelato shop is literally right next door. And so my father-in-law like knows the owner, the like leader of the cult. And one time we ran into him. We were over here at in Brook Highland, like shopping around, and I met him, and strange, man. I got terrible energy, terrible vibes.
Yeah, I don't know that
from him.
I don't think that like nice, wonderful people run cults. I think it's like solely a freak show. So yeah, I'm not surprised that she was a freak.
Yeah. So anyway, but they sell raw milk. So if I could get some raw cream, I could make my own butter, and then that way,
but you could do it with raw 100% milk also.
Homemade.
Yeah, but you could just get the raw milk.
Also. Well, not the butter. I could get the raw milk, but you have to use cream whenever you're doing butter.
Yeah, raw milk, because it's not processed, has the cream in it. So then you can separate the cream and then get the butter from the cream.
Oh,
yeah.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, I'm like really smart. So
that is true. Okay, we'll see what I can come up with. But you can just buy raw milk at Sprouts, so maybe I'll try it with that.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, that's what all the TikTok girls are doing. They're just throwing it in their KitchenAid, and it was like you see the cream, and then you see the butter, and then you just empty out the buttermilk.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens. I'm definitely going to attempt it. And Hoyt was like, I think that's taking it too far. And I was like, I think that you're not thinking big enough. So we'll see what happens.
I love it. I'm so excited. So now that we've fully hashed out like our home lives and everything, I would love to talk about the book if you're ready.
Yes, I am. So we will start with our author biography and book synopsis. Just like forewarning, the author biography, we got what we got, and we're not gonna complain, because the way I went to like 16 websites, and it is this author biography or it is nothing. So that being said, this book is by Demi Winters, and Demi Winters is a lover of all things fairy tales, fantasy, and romance. Demi lives in British Columbia, Canada, with her husband and 2 kids. When she's not busy brainstorming fantastical worlds and morally gray love interests, Demi loves reading and cooking. And The Road of Bones is her debut novel.
Her debut novel?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, let me say, I love this synopsis. Like, I'm not going to sit here, or the author biography. Like, this is all I wanted to know. Where you live, who do you live with, what do you do? This is perfect. I don't need your personal statement for graduate school entry. Like, I just really want to know the meat and potatoes. So I enjoy this. I did not know she was Canadian. I think that makes a lot of sense to me. And I really love it. I wonder how old she is. It's the only other thing I want to know, but I'm sure I could give that a quick Google.
Yeah, I feel like she's probably late 30s, maybe early 40s. There was a photo that went along with this. So I would say she's not like super old, just probably a little bit older than us.
Gotcha. Okay. Another thing about her is, and this is most likely her team. The hoops I had to jump through to get my hands on this book. Like, what the fuck? So apparently, I got a link from our Amazon storefront, just like to the book on Amazon. But that link doesn't work for Kindle. And then whenever you try to order the hardcover or the paperback, they don't exist because she's changed publishers. Someone else picked it up. And so it's not released yet until the end of November, I think. And then I just couldn't get it. So then I go on like the Kindle app and I'm like, that's fine. I'll just search it here and see if I can buy it. But they only had a free sample. They didn't have the whole book. So I had to get what felt like the dark web and get some sort of Kindle link. But what I found out last night is that if you go on Amazon and instead of just like searching Amazon, change it to the Kindle ebook section and then search it, and there's like a direct link. But I couldn't get it from the app and I couldn't get it from our storefront. It was so crazy.
Yeah.
It's just not the same listing on Amazon, I think, is the problem. But it's hard to figure out which one is right. So.
Yeah. It was kind of crazy. And I believe the new version comes out like November 5th, which like doesn't really matter because if you're listening to this podcast, you've already figured out how to acquire and read this book. So that doesn't necessarily apply to you.
Right. I just wanted to complain about the backbreaking work that it took to get here. But yeah. Like, I'm just ready I need everything to be out in hardcover because having it on my phone slows me down tremendously. And I don't like to read on screen. I have this big Kindle or like Findle. But yeah, it just slows me down. So I would rather have a book. So I'm excited for that to come out. Okay. Yep. So I'll move forward with the book synopsis. Okay, here it is. A woman on the run, a crew of Viking mercenaries, a forbidden romance, and the secret which threatens them all. Scylla Nordvig is running for her life. The Queen of Isildur has sent warriors to bring Scylla to Sunnavik, where death awaits her. When her father is killed, his last words set Scylla on a perilous travel, the treacherous road of bones, a 1,000-mile stretch haunted by a warband, creatures of darkness, and a mysterious murder, and go to Copa, where a shield house awaits her. After barely surviving the first stretch of the road, a desperate Scylla sneaks into a supply wagon belonging to the notorious Blood Axe crew. To make it to Copa, she must win over Axe Eyes, the brooding leader of the crew, while avoiding the wolf, his distractingly handsome right-hand man. But the Queen's ruthless assassin has other plans and hunts Scylla obsessively. Will Scylla make it safely to Copa, or will she fall prey to the perils of the Road of Bones? Shut up.
Okay.
Don't tell us the whole story.
Shut up. The book synopsis, if you would have had just these first 4 sentences, a woman on the run, a crew of Viking mercenaries, a forbidden romance, and the secret which threatens them all, done. Like, you don't need to write any more than that.
Yeah, where was this energy in your author biography? Like dial it back.
Don't tell me the story. I hate this.
I hate it too.
I hate it.
I hate it too. I don't even want to talk about it. Like, I don't if I'm reading a book, I just don't want to know all of this. If I had read this first and read the book after, I'd have been like, well, I already know what's going to happen.
Right. Exactly. Like, yeah, I don't like it. Do better, Demi. Okay. So let's go ahead and move on to our character lineup. We will start with our female main character, Scylla / what was her other name? Asa?
Asa is how it's pronounced, but it starts with an E. Yeah.
Okay. What were your thoughts?
Okay. So weirdly, I loved her. Like, I know that you're supposed to like the female main character, but in a general sense, like, I usually don't like them whenever they're like kind of helpless or like super meek. But she is, but I still really enjoyed her. Like, she's just kind of endearing to me. And she also like really goes through some shit during the very beginning of this book, also throughout the whole book, but she has a really believable story. Like, from start to finish, it's not like she just becomes this magical, like, I don't know, just like all powerful warrior person. She's still at the end of the book, you know, she's like very, very believable and easy to understand, I think. And I really liked her. How did you feel?
Okay, so first of all, I just want to say, somehow, after having read a grand total of 0 books where the female main character was a virgin, this was the 4th one in a row that I read where the female main character was a virgin. I thought that she was annoying. I think that like her innocence and the like, I'm so helpless, like, it bothers me so much, and how like demure she is, and like
demure.
demure. Like when she was like having sex and like impure thoughts, I was like, she wouldn't think that. Like it didn't match for me. Like I feel like she didn't develop her character to be able to like do those things. Like to me, this is what I wrote. She's giving homeschool kid, and I don't
Oh
I
my
don't
God,
like it
that's so
at
crazy. That's
all.
so crazy. So I did at the very beginning, whenever she first like is sitting in the woods with the little girl, and it's just like it's very unclear how she's gonna even survive one night, much less like this entire book. I definitely was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna need more from you. But I felt
Yeah.
like that was given to me. Like at the beginning, I was like, she needs to be better. She needs to be better. And then slowly she just got better. But like I said, it was a very straightforward character development for me. Like she turned from something like I wasn't really interested in to something like she became like more witty and more self-confident. And I just, at the end, like I loved her. I really did. I cannot believe you still hate
Okay.
her, but that's, par for the course.
Yeah.
I also
Yeah,
hated that
I
she was a
did.
virgin, like
Sorry, go ahead.
desperately needed her to like not be a virgin, but unfortunately that's the card that we were dealt.
Yeah. I did like the twist about the leaves being what was like causing the headaches and was causing like the little girl to appear. I thought that was like really clever. And like like the withdrawal is like what was actually causing everything. Um, I am curious about how everyone thought she was murdered, but then she wasn't. The only thing that I could think of is that at the end, when she's like fighting Skreda is like, how do you have two powers? Were you a twin? So that's the only thing I can think of, is that she was a twin and the twin was murdered, and they just like kept her in hiding all this time to like protect themselves. Like maybe they knew that was a threat or something to the king and the queen. And
That's interesting. I kind of thought that Saga was her twin, like her fraternal twin. Like that's what I thought it was alluding to. Like that Skreda knew that there was two daughters, but that Saga, that she didn't know that Saga was her twin since they don't look alike.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting. I kind of, because they talked about multiple times that there was like two little girls on the thing. I just assumed that, Saga and Scylla were taken away, and like unfortunately like two little innocent kids were like strung up. But
that's an interesting thought as well. Yeah, I don't know. I'm very curious to know about that. Like, while I don't like love Scylla's personality, like I agree with you. I feel like this is a very realistic, like you don't just, I'm glad she didn't like make her this unstoppable warrior after being on the road with these people for like, what is it, 3 or 4 weeks or something like that. Like it seems very realistic.
Yeah. And another thing is like when she finds out that she's Galdra and she gets this power, like she doesn't understand it. She's like, I don't know why I'm lighting up. I don't know what to do with the light. It's not like, oh, all of a sudden like it just bursts from me and I know what to do and I'm harvesting my Galdr. Like it was very, I followed it and I was like, this makes perfect sense. So yeah, I really liked that. And I really, really liked her. I can't believe that you didn't feel the same way, but you know what? That's just, I think sometimes when you're first annoyed, and if you probably read this book in like 2 days. So if you like start off annoyed, like you probably just like remain annoyed for a while.
Yeah, so true. Okay, so did you have anything else to say about Scylla?
Oh, one other thing that I liked, and this is has been something that I've had an issue with in recent books, is like there's always something like catchy or corny about the female main character, and I thought that was going to turn that way with her cooking. Like it was going to be like super corny, like I love cooking and blah blah blah, like it's my life, kind of how it is in Kingdom of the Wicked, where she's just like pouring herself into like cooking all the time. But it ended up being something that was totally normal and just kind of casual. So I really, great way to like add some flair without making things super corny.
Yeah, I agree. I actually really like that, and like kind of felt bad for them to go from Sigrun's like burnt nastiness, I'm sure they were probably like in heaven. I mean,
love when
if
she
that was
like,
me, if that was me, I would be so happy to eat like good food, but that's like something that's important to me. I can't just like eat like shit for day after day after day.
well,
So
that's what I thought was funny about them. Well, first of all, I loved whenever she was like, I looked at the porridge and I could tell that it was somehow burnt and undercooked at the same time. Like, I just know. But I thought it was really endearing how all the warriors were like, oh, we don't give a fuck. And then they ate well for 2 days and they were like, okay, no, you're stuck here. We're not going to eat this porridge again.
So funny. I did like that part. Okay. So let's move on to our love interest, Jonas. Okay. Dying to know how you feel about him.
Okay, so I did hybrid read this book, which means I listened to the audiobook, and I had questions about like whether or not this was going to be performed in some sort of Nordic accent, and it was, but it was not overwhelming or corny the same way the other one was. But it's pronounced Jonas, unfortunately for everyone involved.
Okay.
So Jonas.
No, it's not.
So I had such an emotional roller coaster with him because whenever we first get his POV, I'm like, oh my God, that's wild. Like, we have a dual POV and it's already like a male. Like, this is the love interest. That makes sense. And then he had a leader who had dark hair. And I was like, wait, why is that not the love interest?
It was so confusing at first. Like, I'm like, wait,
yeah.
What's it going to be?
Yeah. So then I was like, no, that's my man right there. Who is this guy? And then whenever you start to learn about him and Ilias and all of their, or is it Elias? I don't know.
I was saying Ilias.
Okay. I think they said Elias on the book, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. They're wrong.
Right. So whenever you learn about the brothers and his history with his mom and like his dreams for the future, like I really felt my heartstrings pulled a little bit. I was like, okay, no, I don't think it's a bad match. I think he's sweet and I think like he's a womanizer. So I like that about him. So I was okay. Okay, fine. You can convince me about this little blonde man with the beard. It's okay. And he was like a warrior. So I was like, fine. And then I was like, why did you just waste my whole time? Why did you waste all my time for this to be the most vile piece of shit human on the planet? Like, I'm so down with enemies to lovers, but lovers to enemies, like, has me in a chokehold right now. I was like aghast.
Yeah. So I had similar but different experience. So same thing. I'm like, I'm so confused. Now, I will also say it's been a while since I've read a multi-POV. I loved it.
Me too. Oh my God. Yes.
She did a really good job. But so I'm like, okay, I guess I want it to be Jonas. Like, she's kind of like guiding you in that direction. Then I was like, no, he's hot. Like, I can do this. I really like him. And then when he started to get jealous over Ray, I was like, you're really, really, really losing me. Then after like Ilias died and everything, okay, I think that like you might not, I don't know if you've picked up on this yet. You and I seem to have had different experiences with this book. When he ratted that bitch out, I was like, fuck yeah. Like, so happy. I am so beyond Team Jonas. Like, fuck this bitch. Cannot stand her ass. Turn her ass in. I was eating it up. Now, obsessed. Like, I wish him nothing but the best.
Huh?
Yeah, like love. Like love.
Like, you're on crack, I think. Like, what the fuck? This guy literally poisoned her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she deserved it. I seriously, like,
She didn't
I was
kill him.
really
She didn't
down.
like literally go up and kill Elias in cold blood.
I'm really downplaying how much I disliked her character. Like,
Okay. No. No. You're not gonna, no. You are not going to convince anybody that is listening to this podcast that you're right. And I forbid it. Let me tell you why. So he helps her from the little catacombs or whatever she's in the Sunovik temple, whatever.
mm-hmm.
They go to the little woodsy area and she says, I need your help. I want to tell you this stuff. And he's like, yeah, tell me. Yeah. But don't tell anybody else because you're my girlfriend and you can't tell anybody else because I'm jealous and you're my girlfriend. And like,
I hated that.
Okay. So then she's like, you know what? It's not fair to these other people for you to only know what the danger is. Like, this is not safe.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can get anyone else to like weigh in on what we should do. Should I just go on my own and sacrifice myself? Like, I'm gonna die, but I would rather me die than everyone that I care about die.
Yeah, agree.
So then she goes and she does that and everyone agrees, no, you're one of us now. Like, you're staying in the group. And Jonas literally is like, no, if your guys aren't gonna help her, I'm gonna go on my own. I'm gonna take care of her. I'm gonna protect her because she's my girl.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone's like, no, we want to protect her too. Like, if you're willing to die for her, so are we. We
Mm-hmm.
care about her just as much as you.
Yeah.
So in what way is it Scylla's fault that the man is dead? It's literally not her fault. Like,
Okay.
you and your friends decided that you were going to defend me. You were going to defend me to your fucking death, apparently, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably a fucking lie. And now all of a sudden, when actual danger comes to you and your friends and you realize, oh shit, not only do they care about me, but I care about them too. And now he's dead.
Yeah.
Now you think I'm an evil person?
Yeah. So from my POV, she didn't tell the whole truth. Like,
No.
she didn't tell them, like,
You're going to sit here and
I'm
pretend like
actually-
they let her? You're going to sit here and give even a little bit of an impression that anyone was willing to hear her out? They weren't.
I think that if she would have said, look, I'm the lost princess. Like, you guys deserve to know. That's the reason why they're hunting me. I think if she would have said that, I would have been more, like, endeared and more like, okay, look, she told them, like, this is their choice. They survived.
Okay. No, you're right. That should have been said. But at that time, like, you have to understand, she found out 30 minutes ago. She didn't fucking know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she probably didn't even know that it was true. You know what I mean? She's like, no, my dad just like literally like died 10 days ago. He said he wasn't my dad, but he didn't tell me anything else. And now this girl's calling me Asa. Like, what the fuck? She did not process it. It had been 45 minutes.
Yeah. I cannot stand this bitch.
You
And
are
it's exactly what you
so fucking
said.
insane. No, this is so crazy.
It's exactly what you said. Like, she started out getting on my nerves. And let me also preface this by saying, I am 100% fully aware that everyone liked this book more than me. Like, on TikTok, everybody liked it more than me. I'm not, like, unaware of that. But this is my thing. I don't like how, like, I don't like that. This is what absolutely, like, sent me. It was, like, a sound that goes straight to my brain. When we travel, and then we made camp, and then we slept, and then we got up and I made breakfast, and then we traveled, and then we went to the woods and we made camp, and then we slept, and then we got up, and we I'm like, okay. I was so fucking annoyed by the whole thing. Like, it was seriously like the first 200 pages of this book was that. And I'm like, what? You could have literally cut off 150 pages of this book of shit and like actually had more going on. So it's more to do with like, I was already annoyed. I'm already like pissed off about that. Then in my mind, like, it was her fault that Ilias got killed because she wasn't like fully truthful to them. If I was Jonas, I would have been so fucking mad. I seriously, like, I do not fault this man for one moment. I hated when he was so like protective and like, Ray, why is she Ray's in love with her. He better not be. I hated that. Like, started losing me so bad. Of course,
that's the worst part of the book. It's literally my least favorite scene.
Literally, but
that's a normal reaction.
No,
that's what she wants you to do. She wants you to say like, this guy's losing his marbles, and then the brother dies, and then he like literally goes into psychosis. But you're supposed to pick up on the fact that this is a psychotic break, not like, yeah, fuck that girl. Like,
I did pick up on it, but
you liked
I
it?
I was supportive of it. Yes, I fully support him in all his endeavors. I wish him nothing but the best. The only other thing that I have to say about him, well, I have two things. First of all, we're not doing a man bun, so in my mind, he just has like a crop cut because that's the way that I wanted to picture him. And the second thing is, let this be a lesson to everyone whose name ends in an S. To make it possessive, you just still do apostrophe S, and that's the rules.
I think it's a debated.
And I'm an Enneagram
English
1.
Rule, actually, I think it's debated.
It is a debated English rule, and it depends on how
Canada,
you pronounce it.
Like, this is not
so true. But I am the Enneagram 1, and I make the rules, and the rule is
apostrophe
that you
S.
do apostrophe S if your name ends in an S, and that's the rules.
Agree. So, I like that. I think that it, like, for my mind, I process it better if there's an apostrophe S, no matter what the word ends in. But yeah, I actually didn't even notice that she didn't do that.
Yeah, so like, I don't know if you follow Shannon Ford, but her husband James, she literally just says like James family, and she doesn't even say like James's. It drives me, like, it makes me mentally ill.
I know.
To
we're
see
about
it
to be
topped out
in Christmas holiday season. Like, it's gonna be bad.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough out there. So just like, maybe just quickly we'll do like a lesson. If your last name ends in S, and you're saying like from the Phillips says, all you do is add S. There's no apostrophe. If you're thinking about an apostrophe, put it down. There's no apostrophe. There was never meant to be an apostrophe. There's not an apostrophe if it's multiple people. No apostrophes anywhere. I want to make that abundantly clear. You either add S, you add ES, or you say the Phillips family.
That's what I would
no
suggest.
apostrophe.
I think that's no-brainer. You don't have to add any extra like energy into figuring out how to pluralize your name. And also like, I used to work at the kiosk in the mall where you write the names on stuff, and the amount of people that would get mad at me for not adding an apostrophe to their name, I would just say, no, like, that's not how you pluralize it. I'm not going to do that. And you like, I know you paid $12, but like, what you're getting is education, so you're welcome.
Right, 100%. They got more than what they paid for, and they should be grateful for that. Yeah, I can't. I can't. I one time had to make a wedding sign for someone, and it was, I don't know. I just always use Phillips's because it's the only name I can think of. But they said, "Can you make it like the Phillips apostrophe?" And I said, "Hey, I can. Yes, I can make it say that. Just so you know." That's not right. And she said, they want it with the apostrophe. And I said, okay, it's their wedding. I'll do whatever they want. But don't tag me in this. I don't want to be associated with this sign in any way, shape, or form.
Muddled by this fucking idiot.
Exactly. So yeah, let that be a lesson to everyone out there. I like to think that anyone listening to this podcast is smarter than that. But if you're not, nobody has to know. It's between us and you, and now you know.
The more you know. So back to Jonas. So what I want to say is, like, I know I definitely gaslit you about like not being on Scylla's side right now because like you're fucking insane. But what I also want to say, like, for me and for probably the other normal people listening to this book, I felt like the relationship and romance building was good. Like, I felt like it really developed in an organic way, and it turned out really well. I loved all of the romance scenes that we had. Like, I think it was executed flawlessly. And as much as I loved having him as a fake boyfriend, I like hating him more. Like, truly, I do. So I think that you're robbing yourself of that a bit just because you're so obsessed with hating Scylla. But, like, it is so fun to hate an ex-boyfriend. Like, take it from me. Not only that, like, this is the guy that she literally gave her virginity to, and 3 days later, she was about to break up with him. You know what I mean? Like, she's not a bitch to fuck with. Like, she was not gonna stand for, like, she was gonna break up with him, and then his brother died, and she was like, okay, I can't break up with you yet. Let me just give you 48 hours. And so I thought that was beautiful. Like, she's not a type of person that's just gonna get wrapped around your finger just because you took her virginity. Like, babe, she has a grip on her senses.
That's an excellent point, and I completely agree with you. I loved, like, when they were in that little town and that she, like, snuck off with that guy and he was possessive over her. Then loved that part.
Yeah.
When it came to the Ray of it all, like, it gave me the ick. But, like, I honestly, like, I love a mentally unstable king, and so he is mine.
He's definitely that. I also put, like, I should have known. So, like, the Asger thing, that's the guy that she runs away with. That scene, I was like, okay, like, I get it. Like, this makes sense. But I should have known that he was a loose cannon whenever he beat the shit out of that guy for accidentally knocking her over. Like, you have so many issues if that's how you handle a situation that's a fucking accident. Like, again, there were signs. They tried to warn us, but we thought, like, oh no, we can fix him. No, really, we can't.
Yeah,
and we were wrong.
So true. Okay, so let's move on. Let's talk about Ray. So now I'm extremely curious to hear your point of view on him.
Okay, as previously mentioned, like, at the beginning, I was like, this is the man I'm interested in. Not the little blondie, not the blue eyes. This one.
Yeah.
Because he's in charge, okay? He's in charge. He's head honcho. He's, like, the leader.
Anything and he's big, too.
Anything else, I'm not going to stand for. Like, she got literally drunk and was like, your hands are so big. I'm like, yep, I'm sold. So, literally, I don't have one bad thing to say about him. I don't think that, like, we got enough of him, really. And I think that was out of respect for the budding relationship that we did have. Like, I don't think we really got a ton of him, but I thought he was really respectful. I mean, obviously he gave in to her right away. I'm not sure, like, there's a good explanation for that other than the fact that, like, he is Galdra and she was, and maybe they had some sort of weird connection that they weren't picking up on. But I liked his character, definitely. I think he did a good job as being in charge of the Blood Axe crew and helping train her, quote unquote. She didn't really do a lot of training, and they kept alluding to the fact that she had, but really it seemed like it was like 20 minutes a day. Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So yeah, I liked his character. I really liked at the end finding out that he was like the Slatrari, and that he is like super powerful and has Galder and has been like hiding that the whole time from everybody. Like, love a man with a secret. Yeah. And I also thought he was like super honorable. Like, he was like, I'm going to stick with my word. And I told you I'd get you to safety and you're not to safety yet. You know, I don't know. I really liked him, but I wasn't like, I didn't really get the opportunity to be like a simp.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I agree with that. The thing about the Slotrari, I felt like it was obvious that it was him, but I still loved like that turn of events. I thought that it was either Skreda or him, and I couldn't decide who it was, but like, I can't remember now at what point, but I loved that twist. To me, I hate a grumpy main character. I hate it. I hate it in any book. I just kept writing over and over, like, he needs to chill with the anger. Like, that's enough. You don't need to be so, like, stick up your ass all the time. And at one point I wrote, he bothers me. Like, I seriously got to a point where I did not want him to be in this story anymore. Like, it kept going to his point of view, and I was like, enough. I don't care about, hey, I'm so mad. Like, I literally don't give a fuck. Like, you're not like giving anything. One thing about him though, I love horse.
Talk about the best part of the book, horse. Accidentally running away on someone's random horse whenever you're blackout drunk in your 20s and then just calling it horse. That's king shit. Like, I love that.
I seriously like laughed out loud when I read that. I thought it was so funny. But like at the end when they found each other, I was like, you know what? The two of you, like, you deserve one another. Please run off into the sunset together. I don't give a fuck. But like, honestly, that's fun.
Okay, this is like not where I thought we were gonna be. I didn't think we were gonna be at odds all day. But truly, this is so funny because, yeah. So I also wrote, like, I was so like, this is stupid that we don't know who this Lachari is. It's literally Skreda. Like, she's following right behind them. All of the bodies are popping up behind them. Like, we know it's her, right? Like, everyone knows it's her.
Yeah.
And they kept being like this thing where she was like, oh, soon I'll unleash my power. Soon I'll get to unleash my power. So I thought she was like sneaking off, burning people, you know, going back to her business. So now it makes me, I'm curious to see like who it was that he was burning and why, because we never really, those weren't ever like really linked. Like, there'll be like two people here, one person here. And there wasn't ever really an explanation from Ray's perspective. So I am interested in like figuring out who and when and why that happened. One thing that I didn't necessarily like about it was like, it felt a little contrived that he also secretly like fell for her. Although I will say, like, I really respect the fact that they're not together, you know, like it wasn't like, oh, let me just jump to this guy and like we're together now and like we're now romantically involved. It's more just like he came and saved her and she's like, oh, what the fuck is he doing here? Like, I guess I'm just gonna have to be with him because that's the only way I'll be safe. So I liked that. And then like whenever he was like fighting Jonas, I was like, okay, everyone needs to calm down. Like, this lady, y'all don't really even know her for real, but right. But it did seem like he was doing it from, like, whenever it's his point of view, he's like, he took advantage of her. And I really think I needed that perspective because seriously, she was a week out from her dad dying and she's a virgin. She's never had any kind of, she's never even been kissed before. And you're like Jonas is just like pursuing her with such vigor. Like, I don't quite, So I think I'm on Ray's side there. But yeah, so now what I'm interested in is like, is he going to be able to help her with her powers now that she has them? Because it doesn't really say what exactly those are. It's more just like,
Hello?
Hey, sorry, I stopped talking because I thought you were about to talk, but then you moved. So I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just coughing. What did you say?
Because they don't really explain like what her powers are. It's more just like she has them, and I think that she needs someone to show them what she can do with them because she's gonna need it. So I'm hoping that he can provide that service for her. But otherwise, like, okay, again, like, I didn't really get the chance to be obsessed, and I think that was on purpose.
Yes, and I will say I liked that about the book because genuinely, like, I couldn't tell. We kept going to his POV and I was like, for what other purpose would we continue swapping to his POV? But then you would read it and he never once said like, and her pretty hair or like nothing that would lead you to feel like, oh, he actually has feelings for her. So I felt like she did a really good job setting it up.
Yeah, I love that. The very first inkling was whenever they went to Cracky's house and he's like, she acted like she liked what she saw. I was like, she does definitely. Like, this is getting good. Another thing is that like at the beginning, whenever she started saying phrases that he was like, where did you hear that? Like, why?
Oh,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh
yeah.
no, they have the same dad. Like, this is bad.
That's so funny. But I feel like, and I can't exactly remember now, don't you feel like it's on all their travels, like her adopted dad they ended up working for wasn't he like part of not the monarchy, but like in one of the towns, he like worked for one of the lords or something like
Yeah,
that.
the
Like, I feel like
Jarls.
maybe
Yeah.
I feel like they maybe grew up in a similar area, like as one of her travels with her family, they probably ended
Yeah.
up in the same like township or something.
Yeah. So I was like, God, it's gonna be her brother or something, and that's gonna ruin the whole thing that I already had contrived in my head. But yeah, so it ended up
Yikes.
working out beautifully from my perspective.
Yeah. The only other thing that I wrote for Ray is I'm totally fine with them because I feel like it's very like Viking Nordic to have like the nicknames, all of that. I'm happy for him to be axe eyes. I hate her describing like he looked at me with his axe eyes.
And it's
She
always
literally said
italicized.
it.
Like, stop.
She literally said it every time she referenced him. Like, don't stop using it as a descriptor. It's fine. I hated that.
Like, we get it, and there's better ways to describe it. Like, axe eyes is just kitschy, so you chose it. But like, there are
Right.
much better, more descriptive ways to describe how he's looking at you. Like, I think
Yeah.
we could have done with some of those. But yeah, I totally agree. I hate like that kind of made it like a little corny, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So moving on to another character that I don't know if we're gonna have the same opinion on, Skreda.
Okay, I'm obsessed with her. Obsessed. When she came into the story, I was like, oh, this is good. I loved that it was a female, that she was like a little bit unhinged. But I was like, how is this going to work out? In my mind, initially, I was like, okay, so like eventually they're going to meet up and they're going to be best friends and like they're going to work together. And it like totally did not work out that way, which I was happy for it to. I do have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Does she carry around her dead sister's hair?
Correct. A braid, actually. Yeah, really fucking weird. So,
That's crazy.
so what I wrote was, I know that she's supposed to be a villain in this story, but I know that we're both going to love her. So I'm glad that we've finally come to an agreement. Like, she's literally so powerful, so insane. You could not make me hate her. I'm sorry. Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
I also like you said, this is the first time that a multiple POV has like had me by the throat the way this one did. Like, I was dying to know where Skreda was because it gave the story like a sense of urgency. Like, we got to get moving or Skreda's going to come kill us.
Yes.
The whole time.
Yes.
So
no, I loved it.
I am in your camp. Like, at the beginning, I was like, okay, the queen is going to piss her off so badly. And she's going to like find Scylla and be like, you know what? Let's say fuck the monarchy together, and let's just take them on. But it turns out she's like way too far gone for that. So now I'm very glad that she's dead. And I also think that, and I might talk about this a little bit later. I'm not sure if I don't remember, but this feels like real fantasy to me, and I don't know how else to say it except for the fact that like what we have been reading the past few months is romance in a fake world. Like, it's really just smut veiled in like some sort of like kingdom,
right?
Like fake kingdom. But this, like, the characters, like, you get so invested in them and they just like die. Like, to me, it makes the story so much more realistic, so much more like, I don't know, like there's more weight, like there's more weight to the story. And so I'd actually, which we can talk about Elias next if you want, but I had worried that Scylla was going to be like, oh, I wonder if this light in my arms can save Elias, you know, whatever. But like, that didn't happen, thank God. But I was like, if we get to this point to where we're just like resurrecting everyone who dies, like, I'm not going to be okay with that. But like, Skreda being so crazy, so impactful in the story, getting killed off, but not only that, like killing off Skegagrim, like her one chance at freedom, like,
Yes.
Seriously, it's so alluring to me. Like she's not afraid to kill people off, and I'm interested in that.
Yes. Okay, I completely agree. I do. The only thing about Skreda is that I wish she could have had some closer victories. Like, I feel like she just kept losing and losing and losing. And like, I actually needed her to cause even more tension than what she was. Like, she needed to capture Scylla at one point, and then there'd be like an escape or something like that. I felt like just to add a little bit. Yeah, it's like she needed to have a little bit more depth to like the overall, I guess maybe like setting of the story, where it's not just like you're on the road, you're in a town, you're on the road, you're on the road, you're camping, you're in a town. Like, I just felt like it was so repetitive. And so I felt like if Skreda could have like taken her hostage, but then somehow like the crew comes and rescues her. I don't know. I felt like that could have added something to the story. I agree with you. Like, this feels like there's a lot of substance and there's a lot of like real, like, I don't know, just, yeah, substance to the story. But I am actually really sad that Skreda is dead. Like, I really, really think that I would have loved to see her again in book 2. But at the same time, like, that scene where she dies was amazing. So I don't know. I'm of two minds about it.
Yeah, I think that Skreda's power is what I wish Scylla could manifest. It is so impressive. And I also don't think I've seen anything like that. Like, maybe in a way, like, people can like influence emotions, but like, oh my God. With the gold, I loved the gold string attached to all the Kleinar.
Same.
I love that she could like basically just manipulate anybody and kill them. It was flawless. Like, I love Skreda. Did you want to talk about anyone else? So we have Hekla, Sigrun, Elias, and Gunnar all in one little like subset. But
yeah, if you want to talk about them, I also had written like a couple of things about Saga, but it seems like you have something you want to say about Ilias. So if you want to just go ahead.
No, I don't really have a lot to say, but I kind of thought you would, to be honest, because he's definitely like the character that I thought you would like the most, because he was always like making jokes, and he like coined all the terms. Like, he was like, your hammer. Like, I don't know. He just brought such lightness to the story, and then he died. I kind of just thought that you would like him, but I really did like him. May he rest in peace. I feel bad that he's dead, but I think the only way that we were going to get rid of Jonas was for him to die, honestly. So like, we needed him to die to get the psychotic break, to get her away from him.
Yes.
For good. So
totally.
I don't think it was in vain. But I will miss him for sure. And the rest I loved. I loved her relationship with Hekla. Sigrun was really funny. I don't really have like a ton to say though. Like, they were just good side characters.
Yeah, same. For Ilias, at first I wrote, okay, like, he's getting on my nerves a little bit, but he definitely grew on me. Like, I love that he just brought kind of like the lightheartedness and like fun to their group. So I did love that. When he died, I was like, what? No, it can't be true. But also, that's like part of the fun in fantasy books. Like, people just have to die. And like you said, we would not have gotten to this point unless he had. But yeah, may he rest in peace. Like,
when it happened, I was like, damn, I wish it would have been like Sigrun or something. But then honestly, it served the perfect purpose for me. So then I was like, okay, bye.
Exactly. But like, I love that they said like it was an honorable death. Like, it's how a warrior would want to die. Like, I felt like it was kind of like poetic in that way.
Right.
The only other note that I had about anybody was Hekla. Hekla is Russian, and I don't know how else to describe it. Like, I don't know what else to say. She's Russian, and
she is Russian too.
I don't feel as though I will be or need to elaborate on that. She's just like Russian. And that's it. That's all I had to say.
I think you would have really enjoyed the audiobook. Like, the words and the voices like were top tier. I liked it. I accidentally signed up for an Audible subscription, so I had not free. I paid for it. I had a credit. So I just listened to it on Audible, and it was really good. But yeah, it definitely gave you more. It put you in the setting more of like a Nordic type of like Viking vibe. But yeah, so I didn't really have much else to add in the way of characters. Did you want to say something about Saga?
Yeah, I'll be really quick. I loved having the little girl around. That was like so puzzling to me the whole time, but I thought it was a very unique aspect to the story, and I loved like how it came full circle, and that it's like this is still the version of her sister that she just like carries around because it's the last version that she knew. Um, and I loved the epilogue, and probably the only reason why I would read book 2 is if we're getting her POV, because to me, she felt like a much more interesting character. And I thought it was so fucking funny that her like stepmom was like, okay, well, he just turned 14, so now he's old enough to get married. And she's like, bitch, I'm 22. Like,
And isn't it her son? So it's like her stepbrother.
yeah, well, it's like the people who killed her parents.
Yeah, but it's like God, but like allegedly like
Yeah.
god brother type of
Yeah.
situation. Like that's disgusting.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah,
14.
I thought it was like really funny.
Oh my God, yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like I really liked her POV, how she was just like, oh my God, like I don't want to hang out with you people. Like I literally hate you guys. And she was just funny to me. I felt like I could really like mesh well with her character, but obviously it's going to be, the next book has to be multi POV because obviously Scylla's story is not over yet. So you got to check in with her from time to time as well. And Jonas and I don't know. It could be fun.
I don't care if I never hear from Jonas again in my life. Straight, like just being straightforward. But I would like to know like when he dies and why.
Okay.
I really liked that this started off multi POV. I was gonna like. I always get kind of like annoyed whenever things develop into multiple POV whenever they don't start that way. But starting it this way,
Yes.
like, opens up so many doors for the next book, and I'm like literally so excited. Same as you though. Like I loved Saga the entire time, and obviously finding out that it was Saga was really crazy. I was like, oh my God, that's wild. I thought she was just some hallucination, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm like super excited to figure out what the fuck's going on with Saga and her fiance.
Yeah. Her brother / fiance.
Okay.
So
now,
let's.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Let's move on. Let's play favorites. So.
God damn it.
Tell me.
Just tell me it's Jonas. Just go ahead.
It was Jonas is my favorite character. And may he have an abundant life, and he deserves all good things. I'm fully on his side. That's my man. And all you bitches can kiss my fucking ass. That's my man.
Here's the thing. You're not going to gain, like, what do you have to gain from this? Like, Jonas is literally a piece of shit. And like, I'm always in the camp of like, I want to give people the benefit of the doubt. I want to like understand. And I totally get like losing your mind after your sibling dies. I would lose my mind. I totally would.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that that's fair. And that's why she wrote it the way that she did. The fact that you're a Jonas apologist and you're like defending his wrongs, that's crazy. I think that personally, I love hating a character. I loved hating Tamlin. Yeah. I love like having an enemy, especially someone that you're intimate with. Like give me, oh my God, I love having a reason to hate somebody like that. Yeah. So I enjoy his character for that reason, but favorite character?
Yeah. At the end, like I want you guys to understand the mindset I was in. When he did, I was like, that's it. Like, I'm done. I'm done with her. Good on him. I was so done with the book by the time I got to this point.
After he was so obsessive and controlling with the Ray thing, you still have it in you to like defend him?
Because she was getting on my nerves so fucking bad. Her like, I'm just a girl. Like,
she literally killed a vampire deer like 2 days before.
I'm done with her. I was so done. I was so done with the book. I was over it, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, that's my man.
Okay, so back to reality. I enjoyed Deluluville while we lived there, but I'm over it. So let's get back to my favorite character, Saga.
Saga was your favorite.
Yeah, well, first of all, before I knew it was her, I literally just put like the girl, like the little girl.
Okay, yeah.
Because
Same.
she was so fucking funny. Like she was so catty, so funny. She always popped up at like the most inopportune times. She brought so much drama. I loved it. I'm excited to learn about her. I will say in the epilogue though, like you were saying, you like loved that she was like, so like, I hate you guys and I'm staying in my room. I found that incredibly weird, and I'm like hoping the best for her. Like I need to find out like how she is gonna escape these people. I found it like I'm like, oh my god, she's like slowly suffocating. She hasn't left her room in 2 weeks, 4 weeks or something. Like, so I'm so invested in her. Like I hope most of the next book is just her.
Yeah, same. Well, she's obviously the girl on the cover, so I would hope that it would be the same thing. But yeah, no, loved her. I loved that like they would be in a setting and like obviously Scylla, you have to think that the little girl, like the apparitions, of course, like it's her own mind, but you also have to think there's some kind of like extra sense or something, because when Saga would be like, let's just say Scylla's sitting over here and everybody else is by the campfire. I can't remember what it was. Oh, they were like playing cards, and she's like, oh, like he's a big cheater, whatever, like could obviously see what was going on and like would relay that back. I thought it was so funny, but I like to think that like while she was an apparition, it was also somehow like
her personality.
Real.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely archival information in Scylla's brain about like how this person acts. That's how I am perceiving it. Like, because she was not Scylla's personality. So it just like, it has to be, it's someone different. I loved the little girl.
Same.
Yeah, I'm worried about Scylla I'm worried about Saga as an adult right now. She's not giving mentally sound, I'll say.
And you know, I can't really fault her
like,
for that.
You know, like as you have pointed out, like you love people who are mentally fucked up. So like this might be the book for you, this next book.
It really might be. As long as they don't travel nonstop, then maybe it is.
So that's where I think all of this like really culminates. Like the traveling, all aspect of it like pissed you off so bad that like you weren't of your right mind when you were reading the book.
Right.
Like you just you couldn't see the forest for the trees.
100%. And I did write that on my overall thoughts. So we'll get into it, but you're absolutely right. There was kind of like, I was not set up for success with this book.
Okay.
And yeah, that was just one aspect of it. We'll get there.
So do you think that you would say you were so mad about the book being in this setting that you're now lashing out at it and you're wanting to give it, like you're wanting to piss us off about the book the way that you felt like whenever you were reading it?
You think I'm projecting?
Yeah. 100,000%. I think you're projecting.
I'll just say it's possible, but like, honestly, no. Like, I know I'm not alone in this. I know there's another bitch out there who thinks the same way as me. And like, that's my sister. My sister in mental instability.
Right. I will come up with a diagnosis soon enough. Okay. So we're going to just try to have Katie think of a scene that she could pick as her favorite. Like it's going to be slim pickings for her. But if you could, what would you choose?
Okay. It was so easy for me. The ending fight with Skreda was stunning. It was a perfect scene. Gorgeously written. I seriously like loved it so much. Even though like my girl had to die, I thought just like the writing, the visuals, the thoughts in the scene, it was perfect. I loved that like she said as she saw like the life like leaving her eyes, she was like, I finally like understood and kind of like empathized with her, just like the relief of not living in this world where they take advantage of you so much and like this is what you have to do in order to survive. I thought it was amazing. Like rest in peace to the baddest bitch alive. Love her so much. And then my runner-up scene was Jonas poisoning her and turning her in. That is my king right there. So the king and the queen.
Yeah. I actually loved that fucking scene. Like, the fact that she was just like, you know what? I'm going to give, like, you need to die with a, like, you know, like the warrior Viking thing is like, you have to die with a weapon in your hand. So the fact that she like gave her a weapon to die with and like held her hand while she passed, sisterhood is alive and well, I'll say, in the Gulch.
100%.
So I loved that scene too. I like actually reread it. Like I was like, hang on, let me go back. That was crazy. Yeah. So
yeah, it was so good.
Yeah. Okay. Great choice. I'm glad that you had, you know, something that you liked. Okay. So
yeah. What about you?
My favorite scene, literally, hang on, why is my the entire saga with the Cracky's house, like with Scylla and Ray going to see Cracky, and like that man just like was not about to fall for anything that they were trying to pretend was happening. I was obsessed with that. And then like it felt like there was a lot weighing on it, you know, on the decision of is she even going to be worth our time to keep around. And then, you know, even though she didn't really get the information, she still did help in some way by getting a blackout. And so honestly, I loved that whole thing because it also started their friendship a little bit and helped her with the skjold leaves thing, because I was so stressed about her being addicted to those from the moment it happened.
Same.
I was like, you've got to chill with the leaves. Like, I don't know what's going on. And so it just started a lot of things, which I really liked. It just like helped the story kind of pick up.
Yeah, that was a good one. That it was really funny. Like, this is, sorry, I'm not trying to like yuck your yums. Her like getting drunk, I was like, that's not like cohesive with the character that I have built in my mind. Like that, it doesn't work for me.
That's what I'm saying. You hated someone who you made up. Like she literally is constantly evolving in this book to be better and better. She's like, I said I was going to get this information and I don't really give a fuck how I have to do it because I owe these people for their protection to me. If it means I have to get drunk to get this guy drunk, so be it. If it means I have to like let this guy touch my ass, like I'm going to do it because she's a real one.
Yeah. I did love the scene. I thought that it was funny. Loved when she like threw up.
Yep. Hilarious.
I loved it.
Yeah. And I just like, I know I already said this, but like whenever she gets drunk and is like, you're so big, I'm like, this is who your boyfriend should be. Like, you're right. So actually I have 3 favorite scenes. So let me just like speed myself along.
Okay.
Second favorite scene is when Skreda discovered the golden string with the Kleinar whenever she was in the room with those 3, and she's like, kill yourself, kill your friend. Absolutely iconic.
So good. So good. She is such a queen. I love her. Like the fact that she hadn't like done anything with it before. She was like, you know what if I just
and the thing is, she was like, I kind of knew that was gonna happen, but what an opportune time to try it out. I loved it.
No, I love her.
Me too. May she rest. Okay, last favorite scene, we already talked about it, was whenever Ray unleashes himself on all 21 of the other Kleinar. I loved it. I don't really have anything else to say. I just liked that we find out that he's like really powerful, because I had been waiting to learn more about him, and that was like a really impressive scene.
Okay, even with my thoughts and feelings, I can admit that in that moment I was stressed for him. I was like, what is he going to do? Like he's got to figure this out. And he did, and I was like, okay. I really liked that one as well.
Okay, good. Okay, great. So we have talked about our favorites. You've done this a bit, but now we can do it as a collective group. Let's talk some shit. What was your least favorite scene?
Oh my God. My least favorite scene is when she's like kind of new to the group and they're talking around the fire pit, and Ilias is like, we are going to like turn you into a real like warrior. You're going to be drinking and like cussing and stuff like that. And they're talking to her about the cuss words, and she whispers, she's like, fuck. trying to like cuss, and he's like dies laughing. He's like, you're gonna have to say it louder than that. Literally kill me. It's giving like, what's your favorite cuss word? Probably fuck. That's what it was giving. And it reminds me of this story. So my husband has told me this 1,000 times, but the first time he ever said a cuss word was in middle school, and they had been at PE and they were playing gotcha, which I assume people know what that is, but it's where like you shoot from the free throw line and the person behind you like gets you out.
Okay, let me preface, it's actually not called gotcha anywhere else except for Etowah County. It's called lightning. Okay, now back to your story.
Okay, that's crazy.
I know.
Anyway, so they're playing that game, and apparently like this guy was talking shit to him, and as they were leaving PE, he was like talking shit. And Hoyt was like, shut up, bitch. And then like ducked his head and was like, he said he had like adrenaline shoot through his body. Like, I can't believe I just said that. That's what this reminded me of. It made me want to die. It made me absolutely hate Scylla. Like, I hate this bitch.
Okay, but you're leaving out context, because when that happens, like he's like talking to her and she starts droning him out, and she's either looking at Ray or Jonas or someone else, and like something happens and she's like, oh fuck. And they hear her.
I hate it.
And they're like, oh no, we heard you. Now you have to say it louder, because she doesn't even mean to be saying, she's not like still engaged with the cuss word conversation. Something else happens and it slips out, and they're like, no, you're gonna be a cusser. Like we already were having this conversation. Like, you're gonna cuss. So it doesn't exactly happen how you're painting it out to be, but
I hate it.
I will defend this book. It's my honor. So, you made that up in your head. So anyway, do you have any others, or did you just have one?
No, well, okay. I mean, yeah, I have lots of others, but that's the only one that I wrote down that like I can't stand it.
Yeah, no, it did gross me out that they were like egging it on afterward, but like that's not how she said fuck. But yeah. Okay, so least favorite scene for me was right after they left Sunvald's temple, when Jonas like helps her out and they go like sit. I don't know if it felt more like a grassy area, like a clearing, but I don't know if it was the forest or whatever. And they're just sitting there, and he's like, we're going to figure this out. Like, you have to do everything I say. Like, we can handle this. I got such a pit in my stomach. I was like, this is the beginning of the end. Like, this is a last ditch effort for you guys to like make some sort of fake relationship between you work. Like, it's not going to work. There's already like so much shit that needs to be talked about, and you're already losing your shit after 2 little lies are unveiled. Like, come on. I got so just like nauseous. I was like, stop. And then they go and they have sex after, and I'm like, ooh, like break up with him now. Like, do it now before things get like crazy. But they were just still trying to make fetch happen, and it just wasn't happening.
Yeah.
That like grossed me out. Okay.
Yeah.
Nasty. And then honorable mention is the stoning at the beginning, when they're all like having to stone that part. Like, I literally had a nightmare after that. It reminded me of The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, I did not like that at all. I was like, surely she's not going to say this in detail, because like I actually can't handle stuff like stab somebody, shoot somebody, cut somebody's head off. Fine. I don't know why there's like certain things, and to in like detail hear about someone getting stoned, I don't know why. Like it does like make me sick to my stomach a little bit. Yeah, I did not like that.
Yeah, that was tough. Okay. What's one thing about the plot or the book in general that you would change that maybe we haven't discussed yet?
Okay, so I did not like the dialogue style. I don't like how the like thoughts and the other like narration is said in like a more conversational way, and then every time they speak to each other, it's like so this like proper like formal way of speaking. Did not like that at all.
I didn't notice that. Are you saying like their thoughts aren't in the same like
tone?
Dialect?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. It like everything she said was almost giving like proper English speaking, like the way that she would speak outwardly, but then like her internal monologue was like not the same.
Oh, I did not even notice that. That's such an interesting point. Okay.
And then one thing, this bothers me in every book, or not every book, but in every book that does this. Do the pronunciation guide or don't. Put every single phrase and term that you are going to say in this book in the pronunciation guide, or don't do one, because there were so many. And this is, I might have put this later on, I can't remember, but this is where I feel like a book like this is a better experience on audio, because in my mind, I spend so much time and so much brain power trying to think like, how would I pronounce this, and going back and, oh, it's not in the pronunciation guide. Okay, I'll try to sound it out the best I can. But like, I spend a lot of time and effort on that, and I hate it. Just put it on the pronunciation guide, or don't have one. Don't do like half of them, and then there's literally 16 other words that are gibberish that I have to figure out by myself.
Yeah, and then also like, why do you have? I take issue with short books that have a glossary. Also, like, just take 2 extra sentences to explain what you're talking about. Like, don't put a big glossary before the book starts and then expect us to like want to read that. Like, no, just whenever you say that there's this butterfly, just say what the butterfly is and what its significance is. There's no reason to like make us do extra homework.
I agree. So that's where I felt like this could have been a good experience on audio, exclusively for that reason. So yeah, that was mine. What about you?
Okay, so one thing that I would change is I hated that Skreda like sacrificed her twin, and I like it just made her so much. I wanted to love her so much more than I actually was able to, because of that fact. It just kept coming up.
Yeah,
that I was like, you're just not like, that's just not something that you just do, you know. And they kept saying like, oh, but I had the will to live and she didn't. It's like, you more just like don't have morals, and that's okay for a villain. But like, there is definitely a line that like I don't like for people to cross, and maybe it's because I have a twin that I'm like, that's the line. But truly, like a sibling, any sibling, it's almost like you're sacrificing like your child.
Exactly, and it's like it kind of doesn't balance out, because it seems like she really loved and cared for her sister, but like when push came to shove, it didn't really matter that much.
But it does kind of lay the groundwork for like how insane she is, because if you don't have that context, like, you don't really know. But I think there was a way that could have been done a little bit differently, and especially the fact that she's like now carrying around her braid, like, you ain't right.
Yeah, there's like a couple screws loose up there. The carrying around the braid, when she said it, she like, I think the first time she brings it up, it's like in her pocket, she like rubs her fingers on it, and I was like, I'm like, surely I'm not reading this correctly. But
like the sister that is dead because of you. No,
you carry around your dead sister's hair. Like, it's very strange.
It's very strange for sure. Yeah, and the other thing that I put was that I do wish that we would have figured out like what Scylla's powers were, because I think that Skreda had said something about Ashbringer and Blade Breaker, but like I don't know what that means. Like, I think Ashbringer is what Ray is, right? Where it's like you just burn things, I think, but I don't know what the others mean. So I wish it would have been like at least something happened, you know, like even accidental that she did that like explained it a bit. Again, I was like really happy that she didn't just like master them in one day, but it's just kind of, I'm like, what are her powers? And what also, I didn't even write this down, but I was just thinking, when are we going to find out like what the like mist with the animals is?
Oh yeah. I completely forgot about that. I don't know. Like, it'll be interesting to see what's next for them. Like, do they end up finishing the journey to go try to figure out what's going on up north? Or like, she's on the run now and she knows that she's got to get to Saga. I don't know. There's a lot to tie up at the end of this book. So definitely. I don't know.
Got some loose ends. Okay. Do you have any hot takes?
I think that obviously the biggest hot take is that I did not enjoy this book, but beyond that, I think that Vikings and like the Nordic vibe is simply not for me. Like, I don't like it actually at all. And I think that a lot of people do. Um, and I'm only like just figuring this out. It's not like I chose this book going into it knowing that I didn't like it. But now this is my second experience with it. And I'm just like, I actually don't enjoy this like at all. I don't enjoy this setting.
I think that might explain a lot about just like why you didn't like the book. But also I put that kind of too, like, I just don't like the beards and the hair and the like being out in the wild the entire time. Like, it just really grosses me out, mainly because like I know what I smell like after a 7-mile hike. Like, I don't think that, and I'm going home straight to the shower. Like, these people are just kind of like outside being nasty all the time, and like I have a really hard time separating that from like the sex scenes. I'm like, you guys, this is gross.
So gross. I
sex
think
in the creek
all the
or
time.
something. Like,
I think all the time. Like, have you people possessed any form of tool that allows you to brush your teeth? Like, that stuff weighs on my mind heavily every single time. Especially in fantasy, because it is typical for them to like go days without bathing or like be really disgusting, and
yeah,
I don't like that.
Yeah, it's definitely tough on me too. So yeah, I think there's a couple reasons why I think that you didn't like this book, but I think that's probably the setting of it all is probably the biggest one.
Okay, so speaking of that, let's move on to our overall thoughts, and we're gonna do star ratings and chili pepper ratings. If you don't mind, I'll go first because like
Please.
we've been just like building up to this. So my star rating, I'm giving this book 4 stars, which I know is going to be surprising, but the thing is that I have boiled all of this down to this book was not made for me. There's so many things, like I hate grumpy sunshine. I hate traveling nonstop. I hate the like Nordic Viking vibes. It simply is just, I hate like virgin sweet girl female main character. None of these things like are adding up to a book that I would be a fan of. So I like to think that like I am the problem here. It's just simply a book that was not meant for someone who has the interests that I have. I felt like it was slow. And then like I also put on here a Friends reference. So like the episode where it's Monica and Chandler's wedding and Chandler has gone missing and Rachel is supposed to be stalling, and they're like sitting at Monica's kitchen table. She's like, the nights are the hardest. And then the morning comes and that's every bit as hard as the night. And then the night comes again. And that's how I felt this was. It's like I said earlier, it's make camp, travel, make camp, travel, make camp, travel. And there wasn't enough like going on in between those things. It was seriously like 7 nights in a row. And I was like, enough. That is enough. I've had enough. Let's do something else besides this. But yeah, that's really all that I have to say. I think that I can completely understand how people would like this. I'm not the target demographic for this book. And for that reason, I gave it 4 stars. I think that it was well written. There were a lot of aspects in the book that I thought like she did a good job. Also, I rated A Fate Inked in Blood like 3.75 stars. There's like
That's
no comparison.
This for sure.
Yeah. Yes. This book is so much better than that book. And so I feel like 4 is like, that's generous for me.
Yeah. You're not done talking. You didn't give it a chili rating. So.
Oh, okay. I wrote this down last night and I read the book 2 weeks ago. I said 1 or 1.5. I can't exactly remember how much spice the book and also like what happened during the spice. So I'm kind of just leaving the spice level up to you. Like I know it was there, but I can't remember in detail.
Okay. So for the spice, I gave it 2. And I think that's fair. I could give it 2.5 if I was feeling generous, because there were like once it happened late, and then once it happened, it was like, okay, they're fucking like every day.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like super in detail. So I think like content was there, but it wasn't like, it wasn't overwhelming, which I personally enjoyed, especially because we ended up like hating this person. So like it was great.
Right.
So yeah, but I thought that the romance in it was perfect because there was actually, not only was there physical romance, but there was a really good emotional buildup and a good physical buildup too. Like they didn't just go right to the point. And she was a virgin, so obviously like that took some points away on merit for me. But I think that I could have used a little bit more, especially like in the Asker scene where Jonas has someone on his lap and she goes off with him. Like something should have happened, honestly.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, but it's just because she's a virgin and she didn't know what to do. So anyway, I really enjoyed the spice. I really enjoyed this amount of chili. And for the second time in 2024, I would like to give this book 5 stars.
Wow.
Yep. It is accompanied by Funny Story by Emily Henry. I think they both are deserving. I already downloaded the book. So I finished this book at 10 p.m. I usually, for context, I usually go to bed at like 9 latest. I downloaded the next book, like went through all the hoops again because I still couldn't figure out how to download it, and started it last night. Like and Jake was like, "Oh my God, like you really like this book?" I'm like, I can't stop thinking about it. Like truly.
Okay. That's great.
Yep, I'm excited. There's a lot left to learn. Like we said, like we got to figure out what's going on with Saga. What is she going to do with the powers? Where is she and Ray even going to go? Like there's a ton to uncover. But then after this, she doesn't have this is like the only 2 books that are out. So I'll keep you guys posted on how I feel. But I think I'm going in a good direction right now. For this to be her debut novel, I am stunned. I'm like, I cannot believe.
Yeah, I think that she did a great job. It's a very popular book and it has very, very, very good ratings. Every like review that I've seen is like, this is a must read. Like if you like fantasy, this is a really good one to get into. And it's different than a lot of fantasies. I don't think that there's a ton of like the Nordic Viking vibe books. Like they definitely are out there, but I think they're less common than maybe some of the other like with fae or with vampires or things like that.
I think it's a heavily used theme in real like just like high fantasy or like even historical fiction, but not like fantasy romance per se.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So I think that she did a great job. You'll definitely have to let me know book 2, like the level of Scylla versus Saga content that is available, because I do think that I would consider giving it a chance if we got Saga's POV. I'm not so turned off from this book that I wouldn't consider reading, like if she came out with a second series. Like I probably would read it again. I feel like she has like a lot of good things. Like she developed some really good characters. I love the multi POV, a really like interesting dynamic that I feel like is unique and isn't something that you see every day. Like in fantasy, everything is always so obvious and things were not obvious in this book.
No,
so
I agree. I think it was a lot of unexpected plot and I was like really, really happy with all of it. But I also like, now that you said like you hope we get to hear from Jonas, like I actually kind of agree with you now. Like that would be fun. If we hear from Jonas, I'll let you know.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, did you have anything else, any other thoughts before we reveal what we're going to be reading for the month of November?
No, I think I'm good. So time to pick a chaser. What is our next book for November going to be?
Okay, our book for November is one that seriously, like how we have avoided it up until this point is crazy, but I have my reasons. So that book is When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. This book is everywhere. It is so popular. Everybody has read it. I'm nervous because so many people have read this book and say that it is just amazing and like one of the best books that they've ever read, best book of the year. And then every now and then I come across a video and someone says, I don't get the hype. I read this and I just don't get it. But no one's saying like this is a bad book. So I'm very interested, but the reason why I waited so long is because book 2 comes out next October. So after we finish this, we still have almost a year to wait before we are going to be given any more content. And I feel like that's a good amount of time where we can like join in on the lore and speculate with the girls, but not have to wait like
for 2 years. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
I think whenever I saw this as the choice, I was excited about it because I've heard so much about it. But again, like we are aware that this is not news. This is not groundbreaking. This book just hit the shelves. We usually like to give some time for people to give their honest reviews before we pick something up. So I'm excited to read it. I do think it was like on a bunch of big lists for fantasy must-reads at the beginning of the year. And so I'm really looking forward to it. I hope it's something that we have divided opinions on again, because this was way more fun than just agreeing on everything.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be interesting. I think it's a little bit longer book. I think it's like 700 and something pages. Okay. And I have heard, this is so funny that you brought it up about the glossary. I think there's like a very in-depth glossary at the beginning of the book. I think it's like, I've heard that it's like time moves differently in this world, and so there's like a whole thing on like how time moves and how to like understand the time. And I don't even know. I don't know what the glossary is, but I think it's like 20 pages worth of glossary. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I wonder if the glossary, so I had trouble with this book's glossary and it was like not that many pages, but I wonder if it would better serve me if I just like approached the glossary when I came across a word that I didn't know, because trying to read it and process it all in one go is not really like didn't really work for me. So I'm going to try that this time since it is a lot longer, and I'll get back to you guys on whether or not I still hate glossaries.
Okay. So funny enough, the Anathema book that I'm reading by Carrie Lake, it also has a glossary, and I took that approach, and I do not feel as though I'm missing anything. Now that is specifically like for terms. Again, I haven't looked at this When the Moon Hatched glossary. I think there's maybe some like descriptive type stuff that's maybe a little bit longer than just like a definition for a word. So perhaps I don't know. It's going to be a game time kind of decision, but I am taking the approach of looking up a word when I come across it. But even at that, she's doing a very good job of like giving the definition within like the context.
That's how I felt about this book. It felt like I wasted a lot of time reading the glossary whenever I could have just figured out which one she wasn't going to explain and then go back and look at just those. So that's what I'm going to do that this time and see. But I need to go ahead and order it if it's going to be 700 pages.
Yeah, she's pretty long. So,
well, I'm still looking forward to it. I think there's a lot of people who have read it and might want to hear our opinions, hopefully. But I'm just gonna block it out. Like, I'm not gonna look at anything in the next like coming weeks before I start. And I'm just gonna start as soon as I can, so I'm not like, at the last second trying to scramble together my favorite character. So, we will keep you guys updated throughout the month, because I think I'm gonna read like another book between. I'm definitely gonna read this second book, but I'm really looking for a fall rom-com. So if you have any recommendations, Katie, text me, because I'm like dying for like a little palate cleanser.
Okay, I can do that. I have one in mind.
Okay, perfect. You have anything else that you want to talk about before we go?
No, that is all. I think we're at an hour and 40, so we had a lot to say today.
Yeah, there was a lot of discussions to be had, but I had so much fun not agreeing. Like, this was honestly so funny.
Yeah.
But thank you guys so much for listening to the club. We are so excited to still be doing this podcast over a year later and reviewing all of the best books. Thankfully, finally, we've liked the last two. Some of them were shit this year, but I think we're rounding out the year with some really good picks. And so if you have any recommendations on what you want to read at the beginning of the year, I don't know where Katie is on picking them, so please just shoot us a DM on Instagram or TikTok and let us know like what you're reading and what you think we should review. We'd be happy to have you follow us. We're also available on YouTube. If you like to do video as well, please follow us and subscribe and give us a thumbs up, and follow us on TikTok. We're trying to curate some more videos for you guys. So we love having you guys, and thanks so much. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week.
All right, guys, we will see you next time. Bye.